Hello, and welcome back to Feature Fridays. So glad that you joined us again this week. Thank you for all of your comments and your feedback on our episode last week. If you are joining us live, let us know where you are joining us from, what you teach. You can put that in the comments. This week, we are going to be talking a little bit about the Instructional Strategies Toolkit. And we have a special guest with us today. We have our instructional strategist, Carolyn Taylor, who's going to talk a little bit with you about that toolkit, her experience, and some of the things that she knows that teachers really love about the Instructional Strategies Toolkit. So we are going to be talking about that Instructional Strategies Toolkit, which you can find in the Learning Tools section of the Learning site.
So before we get started, if you are already using the Instructional Strategies Toolkit, feel free to let us know in the comments while we go through a short little demo and talk more about it. What are your favorite strategies in that toolkit, or maybe how you use that toolkit? It is a great resource. Okay, and so with that, we're going to go ahead and show you where this toolkit is. So I'm here in the learning site. I'm actually in an Explorer class, but you can get to this learning, the learning tools section or the Instructional Strategies Toolkit no matter where you are in the learning site. It is here in this top teal banner. And if you click on that Learning Tools button, you'll see that there is a link to take you to that Instructional Strategies Toolkit. Once you get into the Instructional Strategies Toolkit, you are going to find a ton of different resources and lots of inspiration. So what this is really a built-in database for you to explore and find strategies that are specific to world language. These have all been gathered and they have links to other resources. We'll show you some of those in more detail, lots of great descriptions. So really, it's kind of like the way I like to think about it is it's a methodology course, like right at your fingertips, right? So it's really good for any kind of teacher, whether you're a new teacher, maybe you're an experienced teacher. There's something to be found for everyone to either add new strategies, change things up, find new ways of some of your favorite strategies that you're already, using in your classroom. For me, this is really important because there are things that I'm not naturally drawn to that my students may need, right? So I had a lot of students who are kinesthetic learners. That wasn't something that I was really super familiar with. So these kinds of strategies, being able to meet your students' needs and your classroom needs are really important, as we know. And this is a great resource for you to expand on what you're already doing. So in the toolkit, you'll see that there are some featured strategies, and you can go ahead and just start kind of scrolling for inspiration if you want, and take a look and see what maybe intrigues you to learn more about. But one of my favorite features, and I think that my other two colleagues can probably agree, is our search feature and our filters. So over on the left-hand side, let me make this just a little bit bigger for you all. Here we go. Over on the left-hand side, you're going to see that there are a number of different categories of the filters that you can apply. So if you're looking for something specific, like I had said, I was looking for a lot of things that I could do for my kinesthetic learners. So you can even go down into learning style and you can select the actual learning style that you are looking for, and you're going to see that filter narrow your search for you, and there's going to be a lot of really great different activities that you can kind of browse through. You can apply multiple filters. So if you're looking for something that maybe is related to listening skills, maybe you want to look at some of those novice learners because we know that they need a lot of that input. Then we have, of course, then that view narrowed down. So when we dig into some of these, let me go ahead and, is there one that you guys think I should pull up from this list or just kind of grab one?
How about, let's see.
I'll grab this one.
Sure.
Okay. So here, when we go into a specific strategy, you're going to see this pop-up window. And over here, it will tell you on the right-hand side, all of the different categories that this strategy will relate to or touch on. And then what you're going to get is a really great description of that strategy. There could be links that maybe send you to one of our resources or a resource from another website or location. And then, so right here, we'll see this. This is linked to our some of our resources. So I'll just click on this one. And you'll see that it's one of our document assignments, which are our fillable PDFs. So this would be something that you can share with your students. It's ready to go for you, connected to this strategy.
All right. Yeah, Tara, I'm glad you picked that one because, you know, at Wayside, we really do take a proficiency-oriented approach to teaching grammar. And I think it's helpful for teachers who maybe are just starting out, breaking away from traditional teaching practices where you give all of the grammar rules and concepts and examples up front, and then have the students, you know, work with the concept in that way. We, on the other hand, really want to make sure that students understand the meaning of that grammar concept before we actually start to analyze it and deconstruct it. And so, you know, starting here maybe as a guide or a point of departure, I think will really help teachers understand the various stages, working students through making inferences and understanding how the grammar concept is applied.
And I think, you know, a lot of times too, our students, right, they have to learn how to learn that way as well. So it's also a really great way for the teacher to help support students as they grow in that growth mindset and they kind of switch the way that they're used to receiving instruction and then also applying their own knowledge, most definitely. Okay. Well, as you guys are watching, feel free to let us know as you are seeing this toolkit, maybe some of the ways that it would be helpful for you in your classroom if you're not yet using that, maybe some of the ways that you already do use the toolkit, or of course, some of your favorite strategies. We do have a comment that says that last year, a teacher was really burnt out. You know, hybrid learning and remote learning was so difficult. It's still really difficult because we're still in that. And she says that it really helped her regain some of that creativity and energy that she, you know, maybe lost during that time, that difficult time.
Well, and depending on the time that you have together with your colleagues, sometimes you have that time to share with each other, and sometimes your schedules just don't seem to match. And so you need somewhere that you can go to find out those new ideas. This is the perfect place for someone who maybe is a singleton in their department, or someone who is just not in the same schedule with their other collaborative members of the team or the members of the collaborative team. This is the place to go to get those new ideas.
And what's great too is that as you experience and use these in your classrooms, you can then come back together and talk about what worked well and maybe how you would tweak it or change up some of the main ways of using the strategy and you know, make it really useful for your students. And even using some of these concepts as a springboard for your professional learning community meetings. To really center your, you know, thoughts around what strategies can really help move your students toward the proficiency level where they need to be.
Yeah, that's a really great idea. I know sometimes in those PLCs, we really get focused on looking at assessments, right? And so it's really great to bring these strategies to the table, to have those conversations and see if anything does change some of that data that we're getting from our students. We had a question come in about specific learner groups. So for example, maybe you have some heritage learners in your classroom.
Mm-hmm.
We do have, if you look in this more section in the Instructional Strategies Toolkit, you're going to find that we do have very specific strategies that are related to heritage learners. So if I apply that filter, then you're going to see some of those that will work with those heritage learners. And then also we have, which I know everyone's kind of in different situations when it comes to virtual learning. But we're always using technology, whether you're in the classroom or maybe hybrid or maybe virtual. We do have some that are specific toward virtual instruction, how those could be tailored to transform them into a virtual learning environment as well. So thank you for that question. That was a great one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I always got to, there were certain modes of communication that I had a lot of strategies for, and there were some where I did not have as many strategies for. So using this resource to find those places where you're deficient, kind of you have not quite as many strategies to use, and either you feel like you're using the same ones over and over, or you end up avoiding that because you have more students get more practice with certain modes. This is the perfect way for you to find things where you need a little extra boost. So are there any types of modes that you particularly have difficulty finding strategies for?
For me, I think trying to make sure that my students, especially I think at those like lower, those earlier levels, right, when they're emerging in their growth, those speaking activities sometimes can get, I think, a little tricky for me to make sure that it's scaffolded and supported, but it's not just I guess you could say boring, right? For the students, like there's a little bit more of interaction and it's unique language creation. So, for me, I think speaking strategies are really important to always bring into that classroom to help me better, be a better teacher as well.
And another consideration is that, we really focus on developing student speaking, but with writing, we really have less of an approach that really helps the students to look at the different genres of writing, different text types, and, how they reflect cultural and social, characteristics of the target culture. And so I think, focusing on ways that we can help build students' writing skills and, looking at, building their collaboration with one another to move forward is another great tool to focus on in terms of developing not only, the oral that we focus on so much, but then the writing skills as well. And that happens to be one of the newer high leverage teaching practices that we're seeing from Donato and Glissen's most recent book.
Oh, sorry. Okay, well, we want to not take up too much more of your guys' time today. For those of you who are joining us live, we really appreciate it and hope that this was a useful time for your lunch break or maybe your morning, depending on where you're joining us from. But again, thank you. And if you're watching this and you're not live, feel free to leave some comments below. Let us know any of your questions or your comments. And we really thank you for joining us.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks. We'll see you next time.